up? What do we know about these chemicals? And should we be super concerned about it, or what? Economic policy.
I'm scared. Ariana, hold my finger. Thank you. Thank you.
Coming up, we'll break down the big winners from last night's Golden Globes. A full recap of all the highlights straight ahead on Morning Joe.
Hi, it's Dorinda Medley, and I am finally at Sullivan. I work out, I eat right, but there are just some areas I just need to have tweaked.
That's
that sort of genre of political violence, but there could be a pattern there. So anyway, Francesca, it's an odd event in a lot of different ways. Thankfully, did not, do as much damage as it might have. What do you make of this?
I was actually unaware that there was someone inside, which makes it even more terrifying. But I was also like, doesn't the Cybertruck just drive itself? Anyway, not the most important thing, but I was like, couldn't you just drive the Cybertruck in? But anywho, what are we doing, people? Like, why are we missing the obvious patterns that we've seen, again, for so many years in this country of former military? I think 260 were arrested on January 6th. Incidents like this. And we are like, yeah, I hate Cybertrucks. I hate Elon Musk. I hate Donald Trump. I don't want anyone to be blown up because of it, and certainly not this person who felt like they had to do this because, I don't know, I care about human life or whatever. So yeah, John, it's wild. And of course, what's interesting, and I think this is the biggest question mark for me going forward in 2025 and for the next 4 years is, Trump is sort of like, the monster of Dr. Frankenstein, and Frankenstein in this case would be the GOP, and Trump is kind of what happens when you sort of have an extremist base that you foment, you do a lot of dog whistling, then you get the guy who's just swallowed the entire whistle and he runs on racism and mass deportation and whatnot. But this guy can only be the helm for so long, you always have to give more red meat to your base. Your signs are no longer build the wall, they are mass deportations now, right? Like, everything has to get leveled up. And so when you inevitably have things like the HB1 visa, which Elon Musk is in favor of, which again is visas for tech workers so that he can exploit them in his own industry, but that goes against the MAGA base saying that no, they want all immigrants to be barred from coming to this country. You already have an incredibly radicalized, armed, and scary base who it's all hunky-dory when they're on your side, but as soon as they're not, they're going to resort to violence. As soon as they're not, it's hang Mike Pence. So again, now we've got the Trump is Frankenstein and the monster is his base, right? And so how long can you really control them? How long? It's all fine and good. Again, the violence can go in the direction of migrants, asylum seekers, but a Cybertruck outside of Trump Tower, it's like, nah, that's what you support. You resort to that. You like that stuff. That's how I view it.
Yeah, I'm very worried about the escalation. That you just identified. I think so much of that is coming. We need to remember what happened the first time he was president. People did wise up. He was a failure. That's why they threw him out. But it's not like Fox News ever admitted it. It's not like they ever these 4 years have been really rough and he's really jacking up the national debt. We didn't take that pandemic seriously. They're not going to do that. It's going to be defense mechanisms and squirrels. And it's not just distractions. It's distractions that are going to do damage and risk people's lives and livelihoods. So you should watch out for that. I want to very briefly just mention one other aspect of this. Most people following the explosion of the Cybertruck in Vegas were sort of focused on the possible loss of life, trying to understand why this happened. Others were more worried about brand image, I guess. So Marjorie Greene put out this tweet saying that the Cybertruck was responsible for protecting the Trump Hotel because of its frame. And then she talks about how she test drove a Cybertruck that drove her to Starbucks, which seems a little bit Libby, doesn't it, to you? But anyway, and it did it flawlessly, even though we know that this full self-driving is mostly branding, and you should not risk your life, the life of your families on doing that just because Elon Musk says it's safe. That's what she's focused on, not as her. Elon Musk puts out a tweet about how the Cybertruck frame directed the blast upwards. We also found out that he helped out the police after the attack by unlocking the car. And there's a reference in news articles to the car automatically locking after the explosion. And there's no explanation as to that. They don't dwell on it. It doesn't seem like your car, when it gets set on fire, should automatically lock and require the CEO to unlock it, but that's what it says. In any event, I'm being a little bit critical of Elon Musk and the Cybertruck, which I think there's a reason he doth protest too much. He knows what media followed the launch of the Cybertruck, the people losing fingers and the weird design decisions and the being rushed to market and all that. But I say all of this knowing that I'm potentially putting myself at risk, because this guy is both petty and has a lot of resources, and it looks like he might be going after media for accurately reporting on what happened. So Robbie Starbuck tries to stir up stuff for Musk. He ats Musk, which every single time someone does that, Musk is going to respond. It doesn't matter who you are. And so he has a Business Insider article headline: Tesla Cybertruck explosion in front of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas leaves 1 dead, 7 injured. And he's encouraging Tesla or Musk to sue media for reporting on this. Elon Musk says maybe it is time to do so. Now, obviously, he's a free speech absolutist, so clearly he was hacked. He wouldn't get down on them accurately reporting on what happened. But of course, I'm being sarcastic. He doesn't give a damn about free speech. He then goes on to say, you don't hate the legacy media enough, because those headlines that you can see in the photo, I guess, are inaccurate, even though they're 100% accurate. And so, look, there's a couple things going on here. One, he wants you to hate the media because he wants you to instead turn to opportunistic billionaires like him as the only source for truth in the world. Politicians that you like, businessmen that you like, that's what you're supposed to trust, not the actual journalists who've made a career out of trying to give you accurate information. But also, he's willing to sue them. He does that all the time. He sues individual journalists. He sues media organizations. He sues watchdog organizations. This dude despises people exercising free speech and a free press. And so I would not be surprised if he did some of this. But Francesca, what do you think?
I mean, I'm just trying to, temper my outrage around Elon, because, and just X in general, I understand that he is the richest man in the world and he has effectively bought the presidency. But don't you feel like we're living in this, we are in, obviously the worst timeline, Speaking of Al Gore, as you did earlier, he should have probably not had the election stolen from him in the year 2000. We might have green energy or whatever by now. But I just feel like, in the beginning of the Trump 2017, right? When he was sworn into office, and it was he was tweeting all the time. And there was a lot of well, let's not pay attention to everything he tweets. He tweets a lot. Let's just look at what he's doing. I feel the same way about Elon Musk. I'm threatening to sue legacy media. Maybe it's time. Maybe we should. And there are funny things to focus on for Elon Musk, like the fact that he is an alt sock puppet account. But I guess I'm just wondering, how much should we be living in hypothetical fear of something that has not yet come to pass versus actually, bracing ourselves, strengthening our community, strengthening our side, going to law school ourselves. Do you know what I mean? I'm a little bit I don't know. I think a lot of it is just bark and not so much bite. But I could be proven wrong. I know a lot of it will be bite. But on these kinds of litigious things of coverage and all this, I'm just I don't want to follow his tweets. I don't. Ugh.
I guarantee it all bites. I know that. But anyway, yeah, we'll see.
No, I don't. I'm not saying I don't care. I'm saying that I wonder how much we should get too obsessed with every little thing. John's mad at me now.
No, I'm really not mad. I'm agreeing. I'm saying it's a fair thing to raise. And I hate you. Anyway, no. Okay, so we're going to take our second break of the hour. Lots more to get to after this. Okay, scary. Okay, let's jump into a little bit more news to close out this hour. The House GOP has just unveiled their rules package for the upcoming term. Yep. Time has come again. I know you're excited, but no, really, this time there's some interesting stuff in there. Interesting for what it says about Mike Johnson, what it says about the Republican caucus, and what it says about the corruption that we're likely to see soon. So they have their new set of rules. This is a thing that happens every time. One provision is that it will make it harder to oust a Speaker of the House, but doesn't remove the threat of doing it. So the motion to vacate rule to get rid of the Speaker will now require a total of 9 sponsors in order to be considered privileged on the House floor. So what they did last time was Kevin McCarthy had to agree to eventually, on like the 15th vote to become Speaker. He's like, no, but like you can get rid of me super easy. Only one of you even needs to raise it. And it was really sad and weird. That's not how it should operate. But anyway, that's what they did. So they're changing that. And so you could see this as, I guess, Johnson maybe being a little bit worried about Marjorie Greene just doing it every day. But it is also like, yeah, it's a little bit defensive towards Johnson, but it is also sort of a return to what we had before. I don't remember what the threshold was previously, so I'm not necessarily going to get down on them. I don't think you should allow a single person to try to vacate it, but that's there. There's also, by the way, a change to the use of campaign donations for personal use. So the Ethics Committee decided that the congressional prohibition on that is limited to instances that violate federal law. So previously, the Ethics Committee had gone further than the actual law in limiting how you could use some of the campaign donations for personal use. Now they're like, no, it's literally just to the limits of the law. And they made a few other changes around the area where effectively the threshold to prove that the prohibition has been violated is now much higher. You have to prove that they willfully violated those restrictions on using campaign finances for personal stuff. Like the evidentiary standards are higher. And so effectively, all this is going to do is likely incentivize more use of campaign funds for personal uses. And I just find it interesting that this is the same week that we talked about, over in the Senate, Kirsten Sinema spending hundreds of thousands of dollars jetting to France and Italy and all this stuff, having nothing to do with her job as a senator. And now over in the House, it looks like they want to get some of that themselves. Francesca, what do you think of this?
This so disgusting. Drain the swamp, baby. Drain the swamp. I mean, yeah, of course they would do this to be in their favor. And this is a Republican House. They're making it easier for themselves to take bribes. This is what it is. They're just taking bribes and using it, again, yes, to pay for the lavish vacations or, whatever ridiculous outfits in Kirsten Sinema's case. But again, they see what's happening to Matt Gaetz. I mean, maybe under these new rules, Matt Gaetz would never have an investigation opened into him. Like, yeah, it's all good. It's fine. So again, like, they're protecting their own. I think it's good that they raise the bar to vacate, for the motion to vacate, although I don't know, Johnson's scared, obviously, that's just fun, but like the motion to vacate was Kevin McCarthy's pathetic ass last attempt to like maintain power, which is like, hey, fine, you guys, I'll give you all the power by giving you all the guns. And like, what are you doing, dude? So, I mean, it was silly anyway, but also I will miss the drama that would have come from allowing just one motion to vacate. Although I think maybe, some Republicans could get 9 in there. Gaetz is gone, which sucks. So
that's true.
Not that they want to get anything done anyway.
Yeah, it could still potentially happen. Also, kind of might be a moot point from Mike Johnson's point of view. He still has to get reelected. The 9 thing. And I just love the imagery of Kevin McCarthy being like, I will willingly spend every moment as speaker, like the cat in one of those motivational posters just hanging from a branch. Like, you hang in there, Kevin McCarthy. How did that work out for you? Anyway, also, by the way, there's this provision where the GOP is going to try to protect Netanyahu from the ICC, saying that they'll do sanctions against him. And Marjorie Greene responded to that in a way that made clear she had no idea what the provision was doing, because she was implying that this would be like recognizing the authority of the ICC, so we got to get rid of it. No, it's not even what it does. Like it's just a reminder, these people are nothing. Like, not only do they not read the actual legislation, the actual rules or anything. They literally don't even read a tweet before responding to it. Marjorie Greene does zero work, zero prep before tweeting. Anyway, okay, we're gonna move on to another story. Let's jump into this. Jerry Connolly, of course, was chosen recently by the Democrats to be the top Dem on the Oversight Committee, and he defended his victory over AOC with an explanation for why it should be him that honestly I had never considered before. Listen to this.
The decision about leadership ought to always be based on a proven record, skill set, competence, capability, and your plan for moving forward. I've never had my chance to be a ranking member or chairman of a full committee. This is it. And I've got the bona fides and the credentials over 16 years that my colleagues, looked at, examined, validated, and decided that's what we need. We need the best general we can put on the battleground with 4 more years prospectively of Donald Trump. And that's what the Democratic caucus overwhelmingly decided to do.
So some of that is fine, but I love the core of it is I never had my chance. I never got to, and I want to. I didn't, and now I want to. Oh, I hadn't considered that you wanted the position. I hadn't considered that it's owed to you, or what? I hadn't thought about that. I apologize. I am obviously biased. We all know this, and I got distracted with being worried about what could be done with the role and whether the person in charge would have the vigor to actually investigate things and make the case for the Democrats. I got so distracted with that. I didn't stop to consider whether you wanted it. Well, that obviously changed. And to be clear, I DM'd AOC and I was like, hey, wait, just for the record, did you want this position? She was like, no. And so I was like, oh, well, that is the only thing that really matters. And so forget about AOC. We got Connolly. I'm on board. What do you think?
Wait, she replied? For real?
No, obviously she didn't reply to me. But anyway.
Look at you in the DM.
That was a bit. That's what I was doing.
No, but this is just amazing. Also, I think many people watching this, even just in terms of who's gonna click on this video, is asking themselves, who, what, why? The fact that we've never heard about Jerry Connolly since Trump came into office in 2016, right? The fact that we don't know his proven record, and I'm sure he's got some good things he's done. I'm not saying he hasn't, but AOC's out here, making moment after moment after moment, and it's not just because she's easy on the eyes. It's because of what she's saying. It's because of her taking on oligarchy and her taking on the military-industrial complex, right? It's her talking about fascism openly and not being afraid to say it. And her actually speaking in a way that people can understand. So again, these are the kinds of leaders that we need. But this is just so crystallized, John, of what is wrong with the Democratic Party, which is pecking order. Back. It's my time. It's my turn.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign slogan was what? It's her turn. For where? Where's the line? What are you even talking about? She was married to the president. Yeah, she was a senator, not a very good one. What is it? What is this? I've paid my dues. Yeah. But you're not speaking to anyone. You're irrelevant. Nobody likes you, and you haven't done anything that has made people stick their neck out for you. That is in part why people like AOC and other squad members were able to get their seats, right? And so this is this will crush us. This will kill us. And yes, when Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg says, it's my turn. Okay, look, even though I've got nothing to offer anyone, it's my turn. Let's remember where that's landed us.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to close out the hour on the story. So I just want to add, I understand that he's focused on himself as an individual. When is it progressive, Derek? Ever in any context to have one single person? The bar is so high for us to ever have any power influence that it is utterly irrelevant that our movement has given us the greatest star of the Democratic Party for this generation. It's utterly irrelevant. You can have any number of milquetoast, copycat centrists. They will always have more opportunities. Having a dynamic person who thinks that It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Get in line. And I don't even have a huge thing against Jerry Connolly, but like, you were going up against AOC, so we get to be mad that you have the position now. I know that you won. I'm sure that you won 16 years ago or whatever, but now we're in this situation, and it shouldn't be you. Anyway, I also want to mention, by the way, more news coming out that he apparently has several insider trading and conflict of interest possible issues. So he violated the Stock Trading on Congressional Knowledge Stock Act, failed to disclose three stock transactions ahead of the 45-day reporting deadline back in January of last year. In his defense, they all do this. And I have Dave Leventhal on the show all the time. They all do this. But all three of the stocks that he failed to disclose also have government contracts. What do you know? And so these are contractors to the Pentagon and energy companies and stuff like that. So, you know, that's not great necessarily when you're going to be in charge of oversight. But again, who am I to say we should choose?
But this is
one said.
And John, I think it's really important for Democrats and all people to understand, like, the longer you've been in DC, the less people trust you. And that's just, you know, that is because people don't trust politicians. They don't see them delivering for them in their everyday lives, right? And you see that even with someone like AOC, the longer she's in office, the more people are like, I don't know. You know, and it's like, she kind of just got there. But again, like, someone like Connolly, someone that old, someone who's been around for that long, you could even argue that Bernie Sanders didn't go harder against Joe Biden in 2020, in part because he worked alongside him as a senator for years and considered him a colleague. So it actually, while we don't want billionaire outsiders with zero political experience running the country, it does say something that you haven't been mired in the muck of DC, and you haven't been sort of, you're remade into kind of a stooge of, you know, of the status quo. And so let's just remember how excited people are when there is someone who's kind of new and has a different perspective.
Don't allow the powerful to see you
big yawn.
hopeless. Even if you do feel hopeless,
Hey,
wallow
you
in
stay
your
back there.
pity and your misery. And I believe me, I do it all the time.
Jethro,
In the privacy
stop.
of your own home. But never let them see that they're getting to you. Never let them think that we're going to give up or that we feel defeated or deflated. You got to put your game face on and you got to keep fighting.
At the semi-annual sale and clearance, save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic. Get matched at Mattress Firm, sleep at night.
Turn Monday into day one. Take it from you with extra personalized weight management. For a limited time, new patients can unlock exclusive savings on our Jumpstart membership. Schedule your free consultation with me today.
At Grand Canyon University, we believe in equal opportunity.
Tell us how you really feel, Joy. This is your first trip into work? You guys You're latched in.
Welcome, one and all, to 2025, and the first episode of Winning for the New Year. It's a new year, and I'm sure 2025 holds only the best for all of us. Great news, great economy. I can't even pretend anymore. But we're going to get through it, okay, just like we did 2024. We're going to start off this year.
2023, 2022, 2021, and 2020, 2019. What was the least bad year?
Least bad year?
Since 2016, what's been the least bad year? I gave it 2022 was chill.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All the years after the pandemic have kind of sucked. 2016, we had like months where he's gonna do it. 2020.
Yeah, there was a moment within for 3 months I was happy. What's up, everybody? Happy New Year.
You're here. You're starting off the year. You're not banned or self-banned. You're just a traveling comic who has to do a show.
Yes, so, or yeah, I wish it was shows. Mostly just hanging with the child.
Also, so good, child. We don't say more about children. But anyway, we will be talking about school later on the show, and so perhaps it will come up at that point. But it is the beginning of 2025, and we have several traditions here at the Damage Report. And this week we're going to be making good on several of them. So one is every year we do the garbage person of the whole year. We look back over the whole year, and so we are going to be doing that with Brett tomorrow on the show. Will be up, Mike, or is up? Will be up? Let's say will be up with 4 suggestions people have made for garbage person of the year. But also we have another more informal tradition, which is every year to start off the year for at least the last 3 years or so. Francesca, you and I have given our predictions for the year as part of our members content that we put out on YouTube. And so we're going to be doing that today after the show. And also, I went back and logged where we were.
Oh God.
I was inspired by you going bold. So this year, I'm gonna go bold with my number 1. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Prediction. But anyway, we'll be doing that later on. That's always a lot of fun. So members get access to that. Feel free to become a member, and you can see it. But with that said, in with the out with the old, in with the new. You ready to start with the news?
No, I've seen it, John. I don't like it. So can we know?
Yeah, I don't like that this is what we're starting with for the year. We ended our Tuesday show. Litigation that's going to go into effect. We wanted to end. I guess we're starting off with the negative stuff. So brace yourself, everyone. This is sort of like an amuse-bouche to give you an idea of what the year is likely to be like. But let's jump into it. As I'm sure most of you are aware at this point, New Orleans was the site of one of several apparent terror attacks that happened on New Year's Eve. In this case, it was a pickup truck attack and shooting, killed at least 15 people, injured dozens more. This was early Wednesday as the festivities for New Year's Eve was going on. It's an absolutely devastating terror attack, and what's even potentially worse than the attack is the possibility that other people might be involved and have not yet been tracked down. Now, this is where we get into a little bit of speculation, and to be clear, the actual concrete stuff we know is certainly bad enough, but it could potentially be a broader issue than we think at this point. Police say that they're looking into people of interest in the attack who may have been working with the suspect who was shot and killed during the attack. And so President Biden has spoken about this last night. He made these remarks, identified Shamsuddin Jabbar, 42-year-old U.S. Army veteran, as being a suspect in the attack. It is being investigated by the FBI as an act of terrorism. Apparently, Jabbar posted videos to social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. And Biden said, "I know while this person committed a terrible assault on this city, the spirit of New Orleans will never, ever be defeated." And so we will be talking later on the show about the attack in Vegas. And Biden said that law enforcement is looking to see if there could be some connection. No connection has been established at this point, aside from sort of the loose in the truck, those comments. There were also multiple weapons and potential IEDs as well. And before we discuss, Francesca, I just want to say, it felt like there was a period where this sort of terror attack, both inside and outside the United States, was becoming common. Like that it wasn't just a thing of shootings and bombings, it was people using vehicles in this way. And then we had this period where, at least inside the United States, it seemed like
indisputable is still the fastest growing show in America. Because the truth is indisputable because the truth is indisputable. Listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside. They don't stop, I won't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People see the criminal justice system perform, so I won't stop. He won't stop.
These business calls, they're expensive. Stop missing valuable calls. Visit contractedmetrics.com.
Please, Pfizer, I'm in danger.
The more influence our system we gain, the more enemies we make.
You having a good time?
We're having a great time.
If there's a specific case where somebody may have been overcharged, fine, that should be reviewed. But the reality is that if somebody engaged in violence at the Capitol on January 6th, they should deal with the consequences of that.
Congressman, let's talk about congestion pricing now. And it's split a lot of New Yorkers, and I understand. I mean, it is really hard on commuters, and it's very difficult for a lot of people out of New York City that just can't afford this new tax. I do wonder, though, as you drive around New York and you look at it, seems like everything was built during the Depression, right? You know, it seems like so much of the infrastructure there is 70, 80, 90, 100 years old and needs updating, needs renovating. If not congestion pricing, then what do New Yorkers do? What do we all do to keep that infrastructure up to date?
Well, first, New York got $100 billion from the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And the state, frankly, has done a horrible job of releasing those funds for infrastructure improvements, not just in New York City, but across the state. Secondarily, the MTA, which is the worst-run authority in America, and as I fundamentally believe needs an enema, the fact is the MTA loses $700 million a year from people who refuse to pay to ride the subway. They jump the turnstile. They refuse to pay. And in fact, you just saw a video of two men jumping the turnstile moments before a man was pushed right in front of an oncoming subway car. Fortunately, he survived. But the fact is in New York and in the subway system, crime is up on the subways. Murders are up over 60% on the subways. We saw a woman be burned alive. People do not feel safe to ride the subway system, which is part of the reason why revenue is down. But let's be clear, this is a scam, congestion pricing. It has nothing to do with reducing congestion. It has nothing to do with the environment. It has everything to do with the MTA raising $1 billion in revenue so that it can borrow $15 billion more. This is an authority that is already tens of billions of dollars in debt and has individual borrowing authority. It needs to be completely overhauled. I absolutely agree there needs to be infrastructure upgrades, but this is a scam. The fact is, Governor Hochul is charging the average New Yorker $2,500 more to drive into the city to go to work on an annual basis. And meanwhile, she's spending billions of dollars in taxpayer money on free housing, clothing, food, education, and healthcare for illegal immigrants. So if we want to talk about priorities, if we want to talk about investing in New York's outdated and antiquated infrastructure, we have to look at how New York is spending its money to begin with. They've increased state spending from $178 billion just 4 years ago to $239 billion, and now they need another $1 billion from hardworking commuters. Doesn't make a lot of sense, Joe.
Well, Congressman, let's push you a little bit on this. I mean, you say you're obviously very critical of the MTA just now, but say you do want infrastructure improvements, repairs. If not congestion pricing, where does that money come from?
Right.
How do you propose the state do pay for these things? And we also know that as in other cities, London, for instance, congestion pricing has made an impact on traffic, there's been an environmental impact. So why are you discounting that? How do you pay for all this?
I would strongly disagree with it being proven to work in London. But here's fundamentally, you're not going to reduce congestion. In fact, what you're going to do is shift it. So areas in the Bronx, for instance, where they have among the highest asthma rates in the world, you are going to have traffic move there for people to commute down into central and lower Manhattan. But the funding is very simple. Every year, as I said before, the MTA loses $700 million from people who refuse to pay to use the actual system. So you can start by enforcing your fare, number one. Number two, as I just pointed out, New York is spending last year $4 billion for free housing, clothing, food, education, and healthcare for illegal immigrants. Now, New York chose to be a sanctuary state and city. So, of course, people are going to come here. The fact is that these are policy choices that New York makes. I'll give you another one. New York spends $100 million on taxpayer funds for campaign finance. They have a matching funds program, welfare for politicians. So take that $100 million, put it towards the MTA. There's no reason to pay for political campaigns with taxpayer money. So there's a lot that New York can do in a $239 billion budget, up $61 billion over 4 years, to actually prioritize the MTA. In addition, the MTA needs a full audit, and the MTA needs to have a complete overhaul, starting with removal of all of its management. Jano Lieber, needs to go. The fact that this guy was celebrating the start of congestion pricing on top of a cherry picker the other day, as if, for some